Okay, let's come to our next sentence. Are you ready? Yes. Okay, so let's see. We have some new words. Chúng ta có một vài từ mới. Okay, the first one. Later that day. Later that day. Yes, ngày hôm sau. Yes, và là ngày sau đó. Okay, later that day. Yeah, later that day. Okay, follow me. Video lessons. Later. Okay, đây là ngày hôm nay. Okay, đây là ngày hôm sau. Các bạn chồng lên tay lên nhau. Later that day. Later that day. Later that day. Okay, later that day. 1, 2, 3, go. Later that day. Okay, next. Huge. You know, huge. Very, very big. Okay, a huge. Okay, a huge. Woof. Okay, woof. Lần này mình sẽ làm con woof kiểu rất là đáng sợ nha. Woof. Okay, a huge woof. Really did. Okay, really did tức là thực sự đã làm cái gì đó. Okay, okay, really did come into. Okay, come into the field. Yes, tức là cái ngày hôm sau ấy thì một cái con sói siêu to khổng lồ đã thực sự đến cái ngôi làng, đến cái cánh đồng đó. Okay, so later that day, a huge wolf. Okay, a huge wolf really did come into the field. Okay, later that day, a huge wolf really did come into the field. Right? Okay, so let's learn this sentence. Later that day, a huge wolf really did come into the field. Later that day, a huge wolf really did come into the field. Right? Okay, so let's come to the mini story of this sentence. Are you ready? Yes, okay. Later that day, a huge wolf really did come into the field. Alright, so later that day, did a huge wolf come into the village? No, right? Later that day, the huge wolf did not come into the village. A huge wolf really did come into the field where the boy and his sheep. Okay, so later that day, a huge wolf really did come into the field. So later that day, did a small wolf come into the field? No, not a small wolf. Not a small wolf really did come into the field later that day. A huge wolf really did come into the field later that day. So later that day, what came into the field? What? A huge wolf really did come into the field. So later that day, did a huge sheep come into the field? No, right? Not a huge sheep, right? A huge wolf really did come into the field. So later that day, did a huge wolf come into the field? Really did come into the field? Yes, a huge wolf really did come into the field. So where did the huge wolf come into? Where? The field, right? The field. The huge wolf really did come into the field. So did the huge wolf come into the toilet? No. Did the huge wolf come into the village? No. Did the huge wolf come into the school? No. Did the huge wolf come into the field? Yes, right. Later that day, a really huge wolf really did come into the field, right? So later that day, what really did come into the field? What really did come into the field? A huge wolf. So when did the huge wolf come into the field? When? Later that day, a huge wolf really did come into the field. So, how was the wolf? Yes, a huge wolf, right? A huge wolf really did come into the field. So, what did the huge wolf do? Yes, the huge wolf really did come into the field. Oh my God! Now the wolf really calm, right? Yes, so this is the end of the mini story for this sentence. Listen to this mini story again and again, right? Thank you very much and see you in the next sentence.